episode 6. Brittany's completely prepared for this.
I didn't see that he said to go. It's my whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, we're just totally gonna cut this out. It's not gonna be in the beginning of the thing at all. Welcome to episode 6, Big Trouble in Little China. How you doing, Brittany?
Swell.
I'm your host, John Lucero, Brittany Beshel, as you've already heard. This week, probably gonna be a shorter episode. I say that every time I feel like I say something like that, it ends up longer. But we'll see. So
it depends on what your interpretation of long or short is, to be honest.
I'm hoping to keep these things around an hour. I feel like that's a reasonable podcast length for something like this. Yeah.
True. Especially when you're listening to things that are not all that great and you don't have too many good things to say about them. Yeah,
sure. Sometimes, or maybe listen to some really great things that someone else in here maybe doesn't agree with you, but it's okay. All right, we're gonna start out with some homework first, as we always do. I will go first. Brittany assigned me Wolf Alice, My Love Is Cool, and I have to say, I generally, for the most part, did not like this album. I'm gonna be honest. There was a moment in the album. First of all, it started, and I'm like, okay, it's an indie album. Like with the what's it called? 1 second, let me just pull it up really quick.
Turn to Dust.
Yes, Turn to Dust. Was not a fan of Turn to Dust. Very sleepy for me, at least. Then got to Bros. I don't know which one. I don't know which one is going. Okay. And that was all right. It was a little poppy, so it had a little more energy to it. But like the string of Your Love's Whore, Moaning Lisa Smile, You're a Germ, and Lisbon. I think Lisbon was also in a similar style. I was like, what is this? Oh, it's grunge. I'm like, it's like. See,
that's the thing about Wolf Alice is they do not adhere to any kind of genre whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it can kind of be a little bit of a roller coaster ride when you're listening to their albums, and that goes for Visions of a Life too. That's something that I kind of find appealing, though, is that
I liked the grunge. I like when they were. I think their band, the style, their instrumental style, their vocals, I think really fits of like a post grunge kind of sound, and I liked those songs actually. I guess I shouldn't. I'm not trying to insinuate that I hated this album. There's just, for the most part, I didn't like a lot of the songs just because there are a lot of styles on here, and like a good half of the style I just wasn't a fan of. So. Let's see what else we got here. Silk, no. Freezy and Giant Peach were cool. I feel like Giant Peach was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but for the most part, I really liked it. And then Swallowtail came on, and it's like a really long ballad that it just, I don't know. I couldn't focus on the lyrics. It just wasn't pulling me in, and that's what you need for a ballad to work.
Mm-hmm.
Soapy Water was okay, and then Fluffy, and then Wonder Why was like a 7-minute, just like, it's funny because it says hidden track on my Spotify.
Yeah, it says it on mine too, on Apple Music. What's hidden about it?
Yeah, apparently, I think that it shows up if like you just buy the album, it doesn't say that it's on there, from what I understand.
Right. Well, also, I think because the song is technically almost 7 minutes long, like, isn't there kind of a gap in between the first part of it and the second, or am I just remembering completely incorrectly?
Yeah, there's a bit of a gap.
So maybe that's the hidden part. Like, you don't expect there to be more song after you think it's over.
Yeah, it's a very personal song. I didn't dislike it. It was just long, and long songs only work if you're already a big fan of that style of music generally.
Yeah, true.
So, but it wasn't bad. I guess if I look at this, I liked about half of the album. So I guess I liked it more than I thought I did.
What I'm getting is you like the harder stuff that they do, and not the more like maybe poppy or just kind of like indie.
Because the vocals, like I said, are just so sleepy in those kind of indie songs. I just don't like, and they reverb them and they just mess with the vocals in a way that I don't like. I like a more natural vocal in my rock generally. I like it to sound like dirtier, That's the punk rock fan in me coming out. I like a dirtier sound. I don't need them to sound perfect in rock. It's kind of like the opposite of what I want generally, unless it's like, unless they're belting out stuff, but like just singing otherwise. I want like that's what I've always liked about some grunge. And I mean, this, I don't know if it's just the name that reminded me of it immediately, but I want to say either Your Love's a Whore or Mona Lisa. I think Mona Lisa's Smile gave me instrumentally a really heavy Alice in Chains vibe.
Okay.
Yeah, which I liked. I like Alice in Chains somewhat. I'm not a huge grunge guy, but I liked it. I thought it was cool to hear a grunge sound. This came out 2015? I think 2015. Yeah. It's just something you don't hear very often anymore. And it got played to death in the 90s, but and it was a hot sound then.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe that's part of what their appeal is to me largely, is that they're doing something kind of different than what's out there. But I definitely agree with you that their slower stuff is a little more on the, like you said, sleepy side. I tend to skip those a lot more if I'm just listening to Wolf Alice specifically across all their projects. But the harder stuff, just like you said, like Your Love's Whore, You're a Germ. Giant Peach is actually my favorite one on here. I just really like the build up to the song and then the breakdown.
I would have cut about 30 seconds out of it, I think, maybe a minute.
Probably from the intro, because I feel like the intro kind of drags it out a little bit. But once the song actually kicks in and the vocals start and everything, it's a good time. Definitely love watching live performances of that song too, because the energy is just so high.
Okay.
But yeah, Swallowtail is another one of those songs that I like the build up to it, and then just kind of like how it becomes so fast paced and everything later on in the song. But then I feel like 4 minutes out of the almost 6 is just so droning. So yeah, that one's definitely not one of my favorites either. So I think I agree with you for the most part. I definitely don't hate or even necessarily dislike the slower songs, because I've told you before with songs, if I don't like them, I just don't even keep them in my iTunes at all, just because I don't want them coming up on shuffle or anything.
Yeah, I'm bad about that because I'll add a whole album sometimes to it and then realize I don't want to listen to I don't want to listen to all the songs in the album, and then never get around to getting them out of my playlist. I actually did a spring cleaning recently of my playlist.
So did I. It took me weeks. I went from 6,000 songs to 2,300. So I got rid of a lot.
Yeah, you did. Damn. Post Malone left my playlist this last week.
Ooh. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I did get rid of some of his music.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say I don't like him. I love him a lot. Cool guy and everything. His music is not necessarily his strong suit. I feel like he has the personality, and that's kind of why he's doing as well as he's doing. But that's a completely different topic. So I guess overall, do you think that it's a band that you'd be willing to listen to again?
Yes, but I would be. Sure, I'd listen to it again. Because I liked enough of the sound that I would give it another try to see if they evolved at all, because they clearly don't want to be placed in a single genre or anything. So yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
I mean, I was a little disappointed the way that you opened that, but it turned out to be not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I apologize. I guess I came on a little strong. But,
whatever, it happens.
Yeah. All right, Brittany, your turn.
All right. So John decided to be oh so kind and assigned me an album by one of my favorite people on the entire planet, and that is College Dropout by Kanye West.
Jesus himself.
See, you need to stop with that right there.
He's got an album called Jesus. You're gonna listen to. It's gonna be a while till you get to that one, but it's coming.
Please give me a break, because that whole entire ego and attitude is exactly what I don't like about him. So I feel like I need.
It's his worst album.
Base.
It's also that's peak. That's peak Kanye is the album. That's
You mean peak asshole Kanye? Because
that's the one that screams "I'm a god" on the album.
Oh, I've heard that song. Not good. But anyway, much to my surprise, this is not the case with this album. What's crazy is I don't think I realized how many songs that I listened to back in this time that were Kanye West, and I just never really connected it to a face, because I wasn't the type of person to really seek out rap and actually try to listen to it. or hip hop or whatever. But going through this, I recognized so many damn songs, and I didn't hate any of them. Like, I was almost shocked.
I think about half this album got radio play when it came out. I want to say, I'm gonna go through this list. All Falls Down, Spaceship, Jesus Walks, Workout Plan, Slow Jams. And Through the Wire for sure. We're all on the radio.
Yeah, I think those were all the ones that I actually recognized, except for Spaceships. I think that was maybe one of the songs I just thought was more boring out of all of them.
Really, I thought you'd actually just like the method of that song. I feel like you were going to relate to a little more. I actually like Spaceship a lot, but it is a very toned down song.
Honestly, all my feelings about this album were very surprising to me, so it probably will be to you as well. Just because going into it, I wasn't expecting to like anything, obviously. But I mean, We Don't Care wasn't really a terrible opener, just not really my vibe. And gang vocals have never been my thing to begin with. And then when it came in with the children doing the gang vocals, I was just like, oh God, please stop. All Falls Down, another pretty, I don't know. This isn't my favorite song. I think it's because I wasn't really a fan of the female vocalist's voice. It was just kind of grating to me.
I love All Falls Down. So, but
no, I mean, that's the thing. I was conflicted because I liked the song, but I did not like her vocals.
It's a big part of the song.
Yeah, exactly. It's like half of it.
Yeah.
I can still appreciate it for what it is, though.
I like the message of All Falls Down. It's like, it's weird because it's very hypocritical for Kanye. If you listen to that song now compared to who Kanye is now, like it's very anti-materialism. But Kanye also. We're talking
about 14 years ago. Just think about how much you've changed in the past 14 years.
No, I know, but even in the song, like he admits that he's still materialistic in parts too. Like he says we all suffer from this, and it's shitty, but it's how it is.
We do, even if we say we don't. We are materialistic.
Yeah.
But Jesus Walks. I think this is probably the song that everybody knows of his.
I love Jesus Walks. I don't care where you go with this. You can hate it or not. Jesus Walks is like a top 5 Kanye song for me. I love it.
I can understand why. But this just wasn't a song that I really liked back then when it was out, and it didn't really resonate with me now. I don't hate it. It's something that I can listen to in the background.
It's just whenever that song comes on, I like the beginning of it, like that. I was like, oh my God. And then it's like, I think I tweeted this. I was like, I'm not a religious man, but the closest I get is when Jesus Walks comes on.
Yeah, I saw that. See, and the funny thing is I was thinking about that tweet going into listening to that song too, and I was like, John, I don't get it, but no big deal. Never Let Me Down was one that was just kind of like, on. Get 'Em High is one that I actually didn't recognize from before, but I think it was one of my favorites on the album. I just really like the beat to it, and I don't really know why.
The beat's really good.
Yeah. New Workout Plan. 12-year-old me fucking loved this song.
And I think we talked about that a few episodes ago. I was like, I don't think you're going to like this song when you know what it's about now.
Right. And it's still pretty catchy now, but the lyrical content is not lost on me anymore, and I find it kind of stupid.
I don't like Workout Plan anymore. I used to, and now I generally skip it. It's just, it's 5 minutes long too, and
it's a long ass song. Yeah. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say that the interludes that were on this album, I'm not really gonna say anything about, just because I didn't really feel any type of way about them. I hardly remember them, and I listened to this album 3 times.
So did I.
I doubt you needed an excuse to, but if this was it, then
it had been a while since I listened to it front to back. So,
Slow Jams, another song everybody probably remembers.
Oh, yeah.
But another one that I also didn't realize was Kanye until now. But it was kind of like the realization point for me where I was like, wow, he did have good music at this point. Like, does he now? I mean, that's questionable, but I'm sure you're going to make me find out. So yeah, that was a good one. And then there was just kind of like 3 songs in a row that I wasn't really feeling. Breathe In, Breathe Out, School Spirit, and 2 Words. Mm-hmm. 2 Words was probably the better out of the three of them, but still were just kind of like forgettable for me.
I would agree because I think two words. I think the way they perform that song, literally doing 2-word flows at all times, is really cool. Like so, I do. I think I'd agree with those three. I think "Breathe In, Breathe Out" is probably my least favorite song on the album. It's that or "New Workout Plan" as I'm looking at the track list.
See, that's rough because that song has some nostalgia to it. Through the Wire, I was just kind of like, again, like another song I really didn't connect Kanye in any kind of way. And I think when this album first came out, I just kind of like passively listened to hip hop, like not necessarily by choice. And I never hated these songs when I listened to them originally. So I just feel like I don't know if I hadn't heard them previously, if I would like them now. I don't know if that's making sense. I don't know if it's the familiarity of them.
Sure.
That is appealing to me.
Nostalgia always plays a factor in things. So
yeah, because I think that may have been like a pretty large part of why I actually enjoyed this album for, I'm gonna say like a good 80% of it, to be honest, which is still super surprising to me. And then I think with Family Business is the last one, right?
Second to last. It's the last. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the last one is just like 12 minutes long, and honestly, I did not listen to it more than 1.5 times. I was just like, I don't want to listen to him talking for 6 minutes. It was just, it's not Kanye's appeal to me.
Yeah, it was a story of him how he got from where he started to this point in the album. So
yeah, I know, talking about Jay-Z and everything. I mean, I guess it could be interesting if that's something you're really into, but I don't know if this counts as spoken word.
Yeah, I think it would be classified as that. There's some cool production. First of all, I mean, the first 4 minutes is actually a song.
Right.
And then
I'm just talking about, like, I feel like if it ended there, I probably would have been able to go back and listen to it again, but I can't listen to something that's like 12, 13 minutes long. It's just it's too much damn time.
It's spoken word. I think the cool parts of it, the spoken word section, is that the production in the background builds and drops as the story is being, he's positive, and then the negatives in the story, like the production changes throughout, which is cool. I also don't listen to the song very often. I generally skip this song.
It's just it's a lot, you know.
And I like this story because I like the story of Kanye West because I'm a Kanye West fan. But I mean, I've heard it a million times. Also, Through the Wire is kind of like the same story, and it was like 2 songs previously.
But yeah, I felt like Family Business was kind of just like a cute song. Not necessarily one I'll go back and listen to a whole lot, but I liked it. So yeah, I mean, like I said, just generally very surprised. I know for a fact, and this is without me having listened to it yet, that when the point comes that you make me listen to 808s and Heartbreak, it's probably going to be my favorite out of the ones that he's done. Just from the couple songs that I've heard, this is just my guess. Yeah,
I've not quite figured out which I think is going to be your favorite yet. There's about a three album string that one of them is going to be your favorite, I think. But
just try not to give them to me like consecutive.
No. There's gonna be gaps in between each one. But
makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, just overall, like, I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I went into listening to the album the first time just kind of like, dude, this thing is like an hour long.
Yes, it is.
I think it's over an hour, actually.
It's an hour 16. But
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot, dude. But
there's also like 5 skits, and Last Call is 12 minutes long.
Yeah, and again, these are songs that I'm not going to keep. Or songs, if you want to call them that. The skits, the interludes, whatever. So I guess obviously you could subtract time from that, and then also the way too long final song. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not as opposed to listening to his other music as I previously was.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as you realize how many hits Kanye West has had.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane how many there were just from this one album alone, you know? And I think it's easy to not realize that.
He's a crossover king, man. This album came out and everyone liked it. Just a few things I do like the skits in this one. He gets away from the skits after the second album has the same, I think, the same amount. Then I think he stops with the skits after that for the most part. The second album is probably this and the second album have the most in common, I think, out of his discography. He generally shifts his style with each album pretty noticeably. This one's very soulful. I was wondering how you'd feel about that. There's a lot of soul sample in this album.
Yeah.
And Through the Wire, I don't know if you know the story behind that song. Like, he tells it in the song, but he's actually, when he's rapping that song, because it's about him getting in a car crash, and it's the first song he wrote in the album, and he had his jaw wired shut, and he raps this song with the jaw wired shut. Like, that's why he sounds off in the song.
Oh, the weird thing is, though, maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention to it to realize that he sounded different, because I didn't notice that.
He doesn't sound that different, but when you know he has his jaws wired shut, you can totally tell that he's like he's slurring a bit when he's talking.
So it's one of those things, once you know, it kind of ruins it a little bit, maybe. Well, not ruins it, but it changes your perspective on it, I guess.
It's a very legendary like rap song for that reason. I like Through the Wire quite a bit. I actually think the hook, the vocals on the hook are what turn me off the most of Through the Wire. I don't hate them. They don't quite do it for me the same way for other people. But yeah, I love this album. I love the message behind this album, and that going to college is not the end all be all, and that getting a degree does not automatically make you successful in life. So yeah, I mean, I could talk about that album all day. I love it. It's So I'm going to have you rank Kanye albums as you go along, Brittany. Where would you rank College Dropout in your Kanye albums?
How many are there?
There are 7.
7. Okay. So for now, I feel like
Wait, 1 second. Might be 8. 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Damn it. Do your research, John.
There are 7 that I'm going to have you listen to. So yeah, 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like the fair place for me to put this, I don't want to just put it in the middle. Because I feel like obviously you can't say it's the worst, it's not the best, because you haven't listened to the rest of them yet. So I'm going to say it's like 2 out of 7. Does that sound good enough? Yeah,
that sounds good. College Dropout and Brittany's Kanye West rankings 2 is second place.
It's my second favorite Kanye album.
Out of all the Kanye she's listened to. So
including that first one that I haven't heard.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
I will be ranking them. I don't know if I'll do it along with her, but by the end I'll rank them, because I know what my favorite is. But I have a hard time sometimes just figuring out what to order the rest of them in, because they're all great to me for different reasons.
I get that. That's the way that I am with other artists who have quite a few releases. But it's tough. It's kind of like, even though it's not your material that's been written, it's almost like you're asking me to pick my favorite. It's like asking me to pick my favorite child.
Yeah, it's hard. I do number one with a bullet no, which my favorite album is, because it's one of my favorite albums of all time. Definitely top 5. So, but it's gonna be a minute until we get to that one.
All right.
Yeah, that'll do for homework. Sorry for that one being long. All the Kanye ones are going to be long. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Whatever. Yeah. I'm sure that up for this next part, we actually go over our reviews. I'm probably going to have more to say about one than you are going to, and then vice versa. So
yeah, we'll see. All right. We'll start out our track by track on this week's albums with Haley Kiyoko's Expectations. All right, Brittany, start us off.
All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and repeat myself. Even though this album has grown on me kind of significantly since the first few listens, I'm still just going to go ahead and repeat that expectations did not meet mine. As clever or unclever as that statement may be, I think it's because she had 2 EPs, or I guess 2 that were actually kind of like more mainstream popular, Citrine and This Side of Paradise. I loved those EPs, and I actually saw her perform them live twice, twice, 3 times, I don't know, something like that. And I mean, she's really fun live and everything. So it's just like, oh, she's finally going to have her debut album. This is going to be really cool. And I don't know. Some of it I feel like is pretty good, but then other parts I'm just like, I feel like she could have maybe just released another EP. I know that at this point in her career, she was probably feeling pressured to release a debut album because it's been so long.
It's probably,
but I feel like
reason for the album title, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. The label had expectations for her to release a full thing. So I feel like a lot of this ends up being filler. So I don't know how you want to tackle this exactly. Do you want to go in order or
we'll just talk about it. It starts out with an overture, which is pretty. Generally, when I hear an overture in an album, I'm expecting a more artsy album. I don't know, a more had a more cohesive theme to the album, and I just feel like generally this one didn't. It just felt like a bunch of pop songs to me.
Mm-hmm.
And like the first two actual songs, "Feelings" and "What I Need," strike me as the radio singles of this album. From what
Feelings has already been a single.
Okay.
So yeah, you're definitely right on that one. What I Need, I fully expect to be on the radio at some point, like very soon.
Yeah, it's got Kehlani on it. She's pretty big. So.
I mean, and honestly, that's it. Those two songs are two of my favorites on the album. I loved Feelings when it came out. God, it was a while ago. I feel like it was almost last summer. So I've liked that song for quite a while. What I Need, I feel like, is just super catchy, and I annoyingly find myself just kind of singing it in my head or sometimes out loud when just walking around the house. But yeah, I feel like the structure of this album is kind of weird. Like you said, with the overture, and then you have a couple double features that one in particular is just really fucking terrible and doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And then you have Double X or XX, whatever you want to call it. That's just kind of like, I guess, sort of an interlude. I just feel like it didn't need to be there.
Yeah, I didn't understand the need for an interlude right there.
It was just so out of place.
Because the two songs, I'm trying to remember. I guess the one's a more upbeat song than the other. So I don't. Because it's Curious and then Want to Be Missed are the songs that are around XX. I remember. I think Curious was okay.
Yeah, Curious was a fun song. The thing that's a little confusing about this album too is I feel like so many of the songs were released before the album came out that a lot of the material didn't seem new to me. If I'm correct, I think that would be Feelings. Sleepover's been out for a while now. Curious. And then the Take Me In part of the Under the Blue and Take Me In double feature.
Okay, that's interesting.
Kinda. Well, okay, so I don't know if this counts. Back when the music video for Feelings first came out, it had this intro, and I was like, damn, I really, really like the intro of this song. She needs to release that as a full song. And then as I'm going through this entire album, I was just like, oh, I guess she didn't. And I don't know how the first time I listened to Under the Blue and Take Me In, I missed the second half of the frickin' song, which happened to be that intro from the music video. So I don't know if that really counts as it being like a pre-release because it was only maybe like a 15-second portion of it. But again, a lot of this didn't seem new. So between that and then a lot of it just seeming kind of unnecessary, it just I don't know.
I didn't like Sleep. I didn't like Sleepover. Like the sleep part was
Yeah, not a great song. As far as the double features go, Mercy and Gatekeeper, fucking hated it. Absolutely hated that song.
There was a cool I thought they shifted from Mercy to Gatekeeper pretty seamlessly, like production wise. That
the production wasn't the problem here. It was kind of more the lyrical content. Like
it says bang. I think there's one where she says "bang my head till I start to fly," and I don't understand what that means.
What?
Is that like is she saying like she wants to kill herself? So she like turns into an angel? Is that what she's going for, or is or she just goes like into a like half coma and she's like, I don't.
I feel like That was another problem I had with this album is I feel like some of the lyrical content was just incredibly juvenile and confusing. Like,
Yeah, I really didn't like the lyrics for the most part.
yeah, particularly on this double feature. And then, God, and I feel kind of guilty for this because I feel like some of them were maybe a little more predatory in a way. In the sort of way where I feel like if a man wrote the song, it would kind of be frowned upon a little bit. Like He'll Never Love You.
Yeah, I didn't like that song at all. I don't understand. That's like the less charming version of that fucking Avril Lavigne song, Girlfriend.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely like this song more than that.
But yeah, it's like.
But like lyrical content aside, I do like the song. I just have to kind of ignore the stupidity. Like, I don't like the whole thing of like trying to steal somebody from somebody else. Like, if they don't want you, they don't want you. That's just kind of the end of it, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of an ongoing theme in this album too. Like, curious. Like, I'm just curious. Is it serious? Like, you would know if it wasn't. It's just, God. And the thing that blows my mind too is this wasn't written by a teenager. And I know that Haley did not write this on her own. I think she's 26, 27 now. Yeah. So this is just going again, like what I'm saying with the juvenile lyrics a little bit. Like, I don't know who she had writing with her on this, but I feel like maybe they were pandering to her younger audience because her being kind of like, I don't know, just a current LGBT icon. Like, obviously she has that really young following, which is awesome and everything. I'm a huge advocate for that. But again, I feel like a lot of this album was kind of pandering to the younger people that are fans of hers and not the ones who are actually her age.
Yeah. Because I looked into her, and I saw that she's a big LGBTQ icon because she's very openly lesbian. But that's great. I mean, I'm glad. I like when artists are just honest. But I feel like music is one of the art forms that's the most open to different sexualities and just a broader range of things in general.
Yeah, so you don't really have to go that deep into it, you know, because it's not like, oh, I need to explain myself.
Yeah, because I mean, Frank Ocean, one of my favorite artists, is gay, but his music, he rarely even it
doesn't reflect that.
Yeah, and not in a way that he's trying to hide it. It's just it's ambiguous because love is ambiguous. It's almost like a marketing scheme in a way. Like, you're almost using that to your advantage, which I just find kind of smarmy, and I'm not a fan of it, which is really disappointing because I like Hayley Kiyoko a lot as a person, and like I said, I've liked her previous projects, but this just fell so flat for me. And I'm not going to say that I don't like any of the songs, because like the one double feature in particular, Under the Blue and Take Me In, I absolutely love it. I love both parts of it. I like the I won't say I love that song, but I like there's like a nice like a bass reverb behind her vocals during Under the Blue that kind of gives it like she's like underwater while she's singing, or kind of like just floating on a pool, which is I thought was really a really nice touch.
Yeah, like the production on it was just really good.
Yeah, for the most part, I thought the production on this album wasn't that great.
No.
I thought it was very, very bland. In that
just kind of your run of the mill. Like, you could probably find stuff like this on very many pop releases that have probably come out this year that are flying under the radar.
Yeah.
You know, if it wasn't for the name, we probably would not hear anything about this, to be honest.
Yeah, I had the thought too, because she's such an icon. I was thinking, like, would anyone care about this album if she wasn't gay?
Nope.
Yeah, because it's like nothing about this album like strikes me as different. Strikes me as, you know, like nothing about her like says like, oh, this is a star in the making. I thought it just, I don't know, it felt like a rushed album. It felt like her voice is nice, but she needs a better ghostwriter.
Yeah, for sure.
And
like I said, they need to stop pandering so much, because I feel like that was a huge downfall of the album was just kind of like trying to be like, yes, I'm relatable, like shouting it from the rooftops. It's like, all right, we get it.
Yeah, it's like we get it. We know you're gay. At least I know she is now after I looked into her. But like we know it's like that's great, and you can make songs about that. But don't make that your stick. Like that shouldn't be like your selling point ever.
It is, and the thing is, I don't know how deep you've really looked into it, but I feel like a huge part of the promotion for this album was like pushing this whole 20 gay teen thing, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I saw that.
Dude.
I did see that, and I saw someone refer to her saying that as genius, and I'm like, that was genius.
What?
That was that was genius. That was
yeah. How old was the person that said that? Because I'm guessing probably like 15, 16 at the
She was also very, very praising of this album, because I was trying to look. I was looking around at what everyone else's opinion of this was, because I was like, am I just missing something with this? And
and the funny thing is too, I watch a couple different reviewers, like obviously Fantano. I would love to know what he thinks about this album, but because of what it is, I don't think that he's going.
It's gonna be a why review for people that are fans of him. I promise you that right now. It's like it's because he's gonna say like it's basically gonna be his opinion of it.
Yeah, pretty much. And the thing is, like, it's not like he's not a pop fan. This just is, again, nothing special as far as pop is concerned. So it's
I didn't hate it. I really didn't. It wasn't like the Neighborhood album, which I just fucking oh my god. But it was,
dude. That was some real disappointment for me, because like I mean, I've already said I love their other music, and like I said, I like her other music a lot. And I'm not saying that this was just like complete trash, because there's a decent amount of songs that I like on here. But unfortunately, I feel like the majority of the songs that I like that are on this album, I already knew prior to this album coming out.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. So.
Yeah, like there was nothing surprising or exciting about like, yes, this album's out, I get to listen to it. You listen to it, you're just like, where's the rest of it? Like you said, it was rushed. It felt incomplete to me. Yeah.
So I guess that's all we got to say about that album, unless you want to keep going. But I've said my piece on it. It's a decent pop album. If you want a pop album, if you're just dying for some pop, give it a listen, I guess.
There's much worse.
Yeah, it's pop. Yeah, all right. Next up, Boarding House Reach by Jack White, formerly member of the White Stripes,
and also the Raconteurs.
It's also the Raconteurs.
He's a man of many hats.
He is. He is an eccentric in some cases. He kind of goes his own way with stuff, music wise too. And Brittany, I know I can sense how you're gonna go with this, but I love this album. I think it's fantastic.
I think it has a cool album cover.
It does have a great album cover. We can agree on that. I think this album is okay. It is it's experimental rock for sure. I don't think it's super out there. I think it's accessible experimental rock, but it is definitely like there are a handful of songs in here that are just like you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it, just by the direction it goes in. But I think this album pushes rock boundaries in the way that I want. And let's see, it starts out with Connected by Love, which is, I think, like a Lost Queen song when I listen to it. It's a power ballad. And nothing else on the album really sounds like it. It's almost out of place, but I do enjoy it. I don't know if you have any opinion on it, Brittany, but
I don't, because the thing is, I could only stomach listening to this album twice, and the only song that I actually remember is Why Walk a Dog.
I love Why Walk a Dog, but I think it's a really good shift to the second song. It's a really weird song. I like the message behind it. There's a really good dirty guitar reverb towards the middle that I just love. And
don't get me wrong, the instrumentation on this album isn't bad, but as far as this being accessible experimental rock goes, is probably the one thing I'm going to kind of disagree with.
Really? I think it's...
Yeah, it seemed... I get that I'm probably in the minority here, because it seems like this is kind of having like pretty good critical praise, but I just wasn't into any of it. And I wish that wasn't the case because I've been getting into some kind of like funky music recently. Obviously, I feel like we both have, especially after we raved to hell about the MGMT album.
Yeah, that's a definitely experimental pop
But
album.
I feel like this is not like for me anyway. It's not fair to kind of like put this in the same category as that. Like experimental is kind of becoming a very popular thing now to the point where it's almost not experimental. It's just the normal.
Yeah, I think we talked about it. It's just like the accessibility of music platforms allows people to do stuff like this. You don't have to go through a record label all the time to get your stuff out there. So it allows people to try different shit. And this is like the kind of shit that I think rock is missing is like a willingness to push the boundaries, but while also keeping a listenable sound for the most part. Like we have Corporation, which is like a really funky jam that I like a lot. It's got a good layering of the instrumentals, and I love layering. I mention it all the time. I think the interludes in this album, while weird, and one's a spoken poem, and I forget what the other one is. That I think they just add to the vibe of the album in a really good way. They're definitely not something I would listen to outside the album, but I don't think they feel out of place. There's like this hypermisophoniac, and I looked up what that means. Hypermisophonic is you have a certain sound, a very strong distaste for certain sounds. Like it gives you a really adverse reaction. And so he
describes how I felt about listening to this.
He makes the sound. He literally tried to take as many annoying sounds as possible and try and make something good, and it almost gets there. But there's a really weird phaser synth going on the entire time. It starts out the song with like a phaser synth, like wow, the entire time, and it's too noticeable towards the end of all because he layers on instruments so naturally throughout the song, like from drums to guitar, and then some. I think there's some vocals interspersed in there too, and it just flows so well. But that like in the background just is too noticeable throughout that I think if it had faded to the background more, I would have liked it. But I still like the song. Ice Station Zebra sounds like they literally went to the studio and just jammed out and put it on the album. It's just like, all right, let's make a song, and I like that. I think Over and Over and Over might be the best rock song I've heard this year. It is
wow.
It's it is a fucking jam. It's the closest I think to the White Stripes sound for people that are fans of them. If you want to listen to that, I think it's the closest to that sound on the album.
See, and I think maybe that's part of what my problem is too. Like, I've never been a fan of Jack White and any of his projects. I'm not a White Stripes fan, despite being white, and I know that this is 100% a white person band.
Yes, Seven Nation Army Can Hold You Back, Brittany. I've heard that.
Listen,
that song's been played to death.
If somebody
17 million
created
times.
Like a playlist, maybe like top 100 of songs to get white people hype, Seven Nation.
Oh
is
yeah,
gonna be on
absolutely.
So
anything that plays at a football game, just
yep.
It's Seven Nation Army. I think it's a good song. I don't want to listen to it anymore, but it's a good song. It's just Everything You've Ever Learned is really weird. It's got this weird like futuristic voice comm saying everything you've ever learned, and then it just shifts into a song I like. Respect Commander. Really like a really strong rock opening that has a jazz shift towards the middle, where he's like, she commands my respect, and it's just really like mellow, and I dig it. Get in the Mind Shaft it's like weird robotic voice song, but it also layers in like a funk sound throughout that I appreciate as it goes on. What's Done Is Done, I think, is the sound Justin Timberlake was going for, and
oh man, it's hard to even pin that down.
And I feel like, because we talked about Fantano a couple times already, but he made that comment, and I felt like people are going to think I took that from him, but I had that thought before he said it. Because anyone that thinks I stole that, I had that thought before he said it. I'm like, yes, Anthony Fantano, you're right. And this song, I like it and I hate it. It depends on what mood I'm in because it's pretty country. It's like but it still feels in place in the album. And then Humoresque, I think, is a really nice subtle end to the album. I don't. It's kind of the most forgettable song on there, but I think it brings the album down completely, so you're ready for it to be over. Yeah, I think this album is fantastic, Brittany. I think it's fucking amazing.
I think this is probably the first time so far that we've had maybe complete opposite opinions.
Yeah, that's good. It is truly the first time we've had, like, at least in a track by track, I think, that we've just completely disagreed on an album. I think Flower Boy also we mostly disagree on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it wasn't a bad album, and it definitely made me look at Tyler, the Creator, a different way, but it just still isn't my thing. So I wouldn't even say it was as dramatic as you saying that you love this album, and I just fucking hated it. Like,
yeah, I listened to this album like over and over and over. So, yeah, making some song jokes. But yeah, I like it a lot. It's what I want from rock music now. It's what I want rock to do because I feel like rock has grown stale, like I've said before, and it needs to try different things. And someone's gonna hear this, and they're gonna catch a certain sound from this, and they're gonna build upon that. And you might actually like that album, and an album that does that in the future.
No, I mean, true. I could see this being a pretty influential album, but just, for me, I feel like if you're going to listen to something like this, at least for me, I would much prefer the album that just came out recently, Virtue by the Voidz, because that was a pretty batshit insane, like, experimental rock album.
That album is batshit, but I didn't like it as much as this one, but it is, it's also a good experimental rock album. It's like, getting too close back-to-back experimental rock albums, like, that's what I want. I want experimental rock now. I feel like rock needs to find a new subgenre to expand into, and I think that's what's holding you back right now, because the trap trend is dying down eventually, and so a new trend needs to pick up so that genre takes up the popularity, the popularity crown.
See, but unfortunately, I feel like at the state of things that they are right now, rock is never going to be that genre to kind of take over as like the popular thing, and that's kind of unfortunate. Yeah,
I will always like hip hop more than rock, but I like a good rock album now and then. I like to break up the hip hop. I don't want it. So, and this was just what I needed, and man, I over and over and over, man, I fucking love that song. It's everything about, and just like the chick that's wailing in the background towards the end too. God damn, oh, it just gets me going. But yeah, I'm glad we finally disagreed on something. Honestly,
what a relief.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
such a strange thing to be happy about, but I get it. It was bound to happen soon enough. So
yeah, it's we can stop. I can stop talking about that album basically. So we'll move into quick hits. Brittany already mentioned one, the Voidz, that we both listened to. I don't like it as much as she does, I think, but it is good. It is interesting. I'll look up the track list really quick so I can give a better opinion. It's called Virtue.
Yep.
And sorry, I don't think I mentioned that, but I like Pyramid of Bones a lot. Let's see. I like the first song, Leaving to My Dreams. I'm not going to try and pronounce the second song.
Curious?
Is it Curious? Is that what it's going for?
It's Curious, yeah.
Curious? Okay.
That's a really good one, though.
Yeah. I think I liked the first half more than the second half is what kind of took me out of it. But,
see, I kind of did too until we got to like the last 3 songs on the album, and that's when I felt like it picked up again, like with Black Hole and We're Where We Are. That is such a hard title to read, by the way.
Yeah, We're Where We Are.
I think
where we
that's
were.
the point.
We're where we were.
It's the visualization of it. Like you can say the sentence fine, but if you try to read it, it does not look right. And that just goes to show you that the English language is really stupid. But anyway, that was a really good song. Really like Pointlessness too. Although I feel like for being towards the back end of the album was maybe, I don't know, a little on the boring side, especially because it's over 5 minutes long. I feel like that's just becoming such a trend these days too, is just to have these songs that are obnoxiously long and just albums in general. Like I pretty much don't want an album that's over an hour long, honestly. I feel like it's too much. Because I like to be able to listen to an album over the course of a drive sometimes, and if I'm not driving a couple hours away, I don't want to have to like stop on song 8 because the first like 6 or 7 were 10 to 13 minutes long a piece, it's too much.
It's I agree with you generally. That's why when I gave you the College Dropout album, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot it's over an hour long. Oh wait, there's like a bunch of skits and shit too. So it's like it's not actually as long as it sounds, and it's good. So it kind of goes by. It doesn't feel as long, but
no, it didn't. I mean, that was one of those cases where it didn't really matter too much.
Yeah, if an album is really fucking good, you're not gonna notice how long it is. But you better make sure your album's really fucking good if you're gonna make it as long as shit. Because editing is always important to me. Knowing that the song doesn't need to be here. So yeah, I'm also listening to an album that's like that's pretty long, but it doesn't feel like it. Exactly towards the middle, but similar to this, like. A little towards the middle, it starts to feel that way, but most part it flows. And this one, I think, does better than a lot of other albums. It's definitely better than that fucking Culture 2 album, hour 45, my fucking ass. Yeah, it's good. It's good. If you like experimental rock, check out Boarding House Reach. Check out Virtue. You'll probably like one of them, if not both.
I mean, that's the case here.
Yeah.
I like one, you don't. Yeah. You like the other, I don't. It's whatever. That's music, though.
All right. I listened to Czarface Meets Metalface, the collab album between Czarface and MF Doom. Czarface being a 3-person collective, including Inspected Deck from Wu-Tang, and I forget the other 2. They're not as well known, but then MF Doom being underground rap legend who wears a metal mask to all his when he's rapping, so you never see his face.
Gotta love that shtick.
It's and they work together because they both kind of have a similar theme in a lot of the music, in that they present themselves as supervillains most of the time, or in the case of Doom, he has an alter ego, Victor Von. If you know who Dr. Doom is, that's Victor Von Doom is his name. But they present themselves as supervillains or superheroes. It's a very consistent theme throughout their music, and it works here. I like this album a whole lot. I think it's a good collab album because it gives you what it's just each guy going bar for bar. It's a rap album. It's a rap album through and through. That's why I didn't recommend you listen to it, Brittany. There might be a few songs you'd like, but it's mostly you listen to this for the lyrics. Like saying, like he's like they stop producing the cloth that I'm cut from is a line that really stuck with me. I think it's a dope line. Yeah, there's a lot of good shit in here. Open Mike Eagle has a really good feature in the song Phantoms, which is going to be playing the outro of this thing. This is no Mad Villainy, which was MF Doom's like legendary collab with Mad Lib from 2004. But it's not MF Doom's best rapping he's ever done, but it's really good, and I listened to it a few times through and really enjoyed it. MF Doom has a really unique flow, similar to the way Eminem flows, in that he pieces together sentences really weirdly, and you have to, like, if you listen to it, the way his rhyme schemes are just so hard to pin down at times, because he's just mixing up sentences and stuff. Just put the way he rhymes, and it works, and it sounds so natural the way he does it. It's hard to explain. You have to kind of just show, but yeah, it's really cool. And it's not something people can just do naturally. It's just kind of like you can't. It's just a skill that he has. It's just the way he looks at words and rhyme patterns and stuff like that. It's really cool. But yeah, like the album a lot. Also, just real quick, it's listen to Okra, Tyler the Creator. It's a released a new song. He said it was a throwaway song when he put it out, and it's nice for a throwaway song. It's pretty good. It's probably the trappiest song he's done. And it's a good little banger. I'm not crazy about it, but I enjoyed it. So.
See, now when somebody just goes ahead and says, "Oh, this is a throwaway track," do you think that's maybe just their insecurity speaking for them? Like, "Oh, in case you don't like this, it's not like it wasn't. I didn't think it was good. I just put it out because, you know."
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I think it's just an artist saying like, "Oh, this is trash," because artists sometimes.
But then, what's the point of releasing it? You know.
I just put it out there. I feel like.
I think it was almost him just kind of like testing waters, almost.
And it could be him trying a new sound, but it wouldn't have fit on Flower Boy. Just the sound of it wouldn't have fit on Flower Boy. And I don't think he has I don't know if he's putting out anything this year. But it's also really braggadocious, and which he does sometimes, but it's not his main thing he does, so it's a little different for him. I think he's just fucking around with some sounds is what he's doing. Because he's very talented, so he's just trying some new shit out. I believe that it was his insecurities and that he just doesn't think he just didn't like it very much. But he's like, here you go, you just want to listen to it. But and it was actually for the most part people liked it, so you know. But yeah, that's all I got there. What else you got, Brittany?
Only really got into one other album this week, and it was one that I'd never really planned on listening to, but I saw so many damn people clamoring over how great Kasey Musgraves' new album was. And Golden Hour. Mm-hmm. And I can just like wholeheartedly say I don't get it. I do not understand the hype behind this. It is just your very basic run-of-the-mill like country pop. I would say closer to... I wouldn't really compare to Taylor Swift, but I'm saying as far as style goes, close to where she first started straying away from the country music a little bit, which I think you could probably say was her album Red, which wasn't a bad album, but this is just so forgettable. And I feel like the vocals aren't even anything all that special. I feel like some of the instrumentation's very basic. A lot of the songs feel like they don't really fit in because there's just a lot of like electronic and very poppy production to it. And I just feel like it's very strange that this is being marketed as like country. This is like the best country album that's been released in so long. And it's like, no, this is the most, I guess, easily accessible to the mainstream because mainstream generally does not like country music just like that. Mainstream likes country music that's actually pop music, like Lady Antebellum or, you know,
Taylor Swift.
Old Taylor Swift.
Yeah. So
it's it's just really unfortunate because I'm 100% not a country music fan. There's a few artists that I do listen to. Like, listen, I will rep the Dixie Chicks until the day I die.
Word. Okay.
You know, Carrie Underwood is another great one, but that's just, I think first and foremost just because she's a vocal powerhouse, to be honest. You know,
she can sing. Girl can sing.
She definitely can. Yeah. I mean, Jason Aldean's not bad, but just the stuff that's been really popular in country music recently, I feel like is the stuff that's so far removed from country that it's not even in that genre anymore. So I feel like it's not even really fair to categorize it in that way. Like Florida Georgia Line is pretty huge these days, but I feel like that's more kind of like rock, maybe like pop rock than anything.
I don't know if I ever listened to it. I know who they are.
I don't like them, and I know that you wouldn't either, so I wouldn't bother. Yeah. I don't know. It was one of those things, like, I don't know if it was just the marketing for this album was just that damn good that it got people like, oh yeah, you know, this is some good ass country, but it's not country. This is like some singer-songwriter, like indie pop, I guess. Like, there isn't even really a good mold for me to put this into. But Jesus, like I don't like when people hype up an album like that. Normally when that happens, I stay away from it because I'm a hipster in a way. But I just felt compelled to check this out because I saw so many people mentioning it, especially other artists that I actually really admire and listen to religiously. And when they were just like, "Oh yeah, Kasey Musgraves' new album," I'm like, well, damn, if they like it, I guess it has to be good, right? Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
I think they're just kind of falling into the hype, you know.
Yeah, I
But,
heard a lot. I haven't heard about this album, and I don't follow country music very closely.
It's not even about following country music. Obviously, I don't follow it either, but I've been hearing people talk about this nonstop to the point where now that I know what it actually is, I'm just like, well, shut up. Just shut up.
Yeah, for country-wise, I don't. I've enjoyed some Chris Stapleton. I've heard in terms of like the bigger names, like lesser known Sturgill Simpson. I guess it's pretty big now. I think he just got nominated for a Grammy.
Pretty damn good, and he's also amazing live. Yeah, and again, not even a fan of him and his music, but he's a great performer. Brad Paisley is another one. Like, he's an amazing, talented musician. I just feel like you're kind of doing an injustice to the genre by saying that this is country music, and because this is going to sell really well and go over really well with the youngsters and maybe be able to be played on the radio, that this is like the best country album to come out in a really long time. Like, get the fuck out of here. I don't even know why I feel so compelled to defend the country genre, but I feel like it's necessary. Like, don't call this country. It's really not. Aside from maybe that very, very slight twang that she has to her voice at some points. I don't know. Just definitely not a fan, and I would not listen to her again on purpose.
Damn.
So
Drop the mic.
But whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, I can't give an opinion on it. I can just tell you I probably wouldn't like it.
No, you wouldn't, John. Like, honestly, if it's not something that I can even stomach, I don't see you being into it. But yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Country, fucking. Sometimes I want to like country, like, and there is country that I like. I'm more folk and blues than country, and it comes to like that realm of sound. I don't want to say blue. They're not that close, but like
bluegrass.
Yeah, I do like some bluegrass, like, on occasion.
It's like I could get fucking down to some Nickel Creek. That's one of my favorite, I guess, bluegrass bands that's out there. I think they're still around doing some stuff. Yeah, not super popular, but they have some jams. For sure.
Bluegrass. I like the simple instrumentals that they use. I like the vocal. I like I think they have very good sad lyrics generally. Like, they tackle sad topics in a mature way, and at least good bluegrass does, and folk does too. And like, folk is such a broad term too. There's a lot of different kinds of folk, but they're like folk rock and neo folk and stuff like that. Neo folk is like punk folk, but so yeah, there is. Saying I dislike country is inaccurate, but I dislike radio country and I dislike popular country in general. It's just
and I think just like the image behind it is just kind of irritating and just overdone. It's one of those things that I feel like has not changed at all. Obviously music genres have evolved so much over the past several years, but I feel like since at least the 80s, which is probably the stuff that I was raised on because my parents were huge Garth Brooks fans, and much to my displeasure, I have to tell you that my first concert that I ever went to was Billy Ray fucking Cyrus. Of course, I don't remember it because I was 2 years old, but, this is the kind of music that they were listening to. And I feel like since back then, it's not really all that different now. Like, they haven't really done anything to change it up. So I feel like...
I agree. I feel like it hasn't evolved. I feel like the same music I heard on the bus driving to fucking school in the morning is the same shit they're putting on the radio still. And it's just...
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hear about your fucking tractor or your farm or your pickup truck. God, it's just so overdone. And maybe that's what it is. I think people are so tired of hearing the same shit over and over again. They're just like, oh yeah, Kasey Musgraves is a country girl and this is different, so we love it. Like, sure, fine. That's whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I guess, again, we aren't country people.
Yeah,
country music people. But,
not sorry to get into a mini rant about it. I just felt like that had to be said, you know?
No, like it deserves to be talked about. Like we do a music podcast. We don't. I don't want to like just excommunicate certain genres completely. I would like for a country album come along that we talk about on here that we both like. That'd be cool. That'd be cool and unexpected. I don't think it's gonna happen. At least one that I'm gonna go out of my way to find. But we'll see. It might, music is diverse, and it all deserves to be talked about. But all right, let's close it out here with some homework. I guess I can start out. Mine's actually kind of a bit. It actually segues into my homework a bit because I wanted to give you a break from rap for an episode.
I hardly believe that.
Yeah. I gave you a couple rap albums that you really enjoyed, which is nice.
Yeah, I know. So it's been like a very pleasant surprise recently. It hasn't been completely unbearable to listen to. Yeah,
this one is gonna be probably an unexpected pick. I don't even know if you know this. It is England Keep My Bones by Frank Turner. Frank Turner is a British neo-folk singer and songwriter. And the album came out in 2010, and it is one of my favorite albums of the decade. And honestly, if you don't like it, I understand too. Like it's hard for me to pin down because it's mostly just the lyrics I really enjoy. I probably know the words to every song on the album. If it comes on, I can't just recite them off the dome. But yeah, there's nothing like experimental about it. It's not crazy. His background's a little interesting because it came from a hardcore band, Million Dead. He was the lead singer of them, so it was like a complete shift in sound.
Doesn't he also do Frank Turner and the Sleeping Souls?
That's his background band, is the Sleeping Souls. Yes.
Ah, okay. See, because I have worked his shows before.
Yeah, I know. I know that they've been there before. That they've been by your thing before. Because I know Kyle knows I like him. And he has an album coming out in May that I'm curious about. I used to be a huge fan. I've kind of fallen off a bit of interest. Not because I don't like it anymore, just because I don't listen to it much anymore. But this was the first album I heard of his, and it's still my favorite. So I hope you like it. If you don't, it's fine too. It's just something different.
See, the thing is, it's such a shame. Well, this is such a dumbass thing to complain about. I was gonna say it's such a shame that I have attended and worked over 2,000 shows in the past 10 years, so I can't possibly remember if I liked Frank Turner or not, because I know that I've definitely worked him at least once or twice. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it is something I can get into. Maybe I'll even recognize a song or two.
Yeah, it's neo-folk and rock, so it's and it's a lot. It's the singer-songwriter part what I like about him. So hope you like it.
All right, so for you this week, I decided to go with an album for a band that was, I don't know if you could call them a band group, that was kind of like a sleeper hit for me, called Purity Ring. A band that I was not entirely too crazy about when I was first told about them by a good friend of mine. Their first album wasn't particularly impressive to me, but then someone was like, hey, Purity Ring had a new album come out. You should listen to it. And reluctantly I did. However, I was freaking blown away. So I decided that maybe this should also be your introduction to them too, instead of their debut album. Okay. So your assignment for this week is Another Eternity by Purity Ring.
All right. I have heard of them because I think our mutual friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of like, trying to think of how to explain them. Not EDM, really, especially because there is actual vocals in pretty much every song. More or less kind of like electro pop, I guess. Synth pop for sure. So maybe not necessarily your thing, but still some of it is a little odd. So I feel like you could vibe to some of it. Like the production on this thing, in my opinion, is just awesome. So
that'll be a good shift from the Expectation album.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was so disappointed in the production on that thing. I'm like, this is so fucking basic. God damn. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it's a little mixing up the homework a bit this week. Can't all be rap, can't all be rock. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that we both somehow accidentally coordinated that we were going to give each other something different, like outside of what we normally do, but it worked out. So
yeah, go figure. I think it's gonna do it though, Brittany. Yeah, you got anything else to say?
Nah, I think we could wrap this thing up.
Yeah, you can follow me, John Lucero 777 on Twitter. Brittany at Hell Yes. The L's are I's in Hell Yes. And check out Games and Junk for some other great content that I'm on a lot of. And if you like my voice, if you don't, you can just mute it when I'm talking.
It's going to be very difficult to navigate this podcast, though. So
yeah,
Godspeed.
Yeah, And until next time, bye.
See ya.
The Phantoms. Yeah, I used to hop the 3 train, always out for more racks, smoke blunts with danger, trouble at my doorstep, stared death in the face, left him with the sore neck. The devil himself can't resist the raw dialect, clash with the titans, rob stores with Lucifer, seduce the temptress, streets.